Bob Siegel connected with his identity early in life as a Jew. His father, though, viewed Judaism as a heritage, not a religion, and he ingrained that message into Bob.
There was no God. The Bible was a bunch of fairy tales, even the Old Testament, but nothing was more important than being Jewish. So I learned a lot about the nation of Israel. I learned a lot about the Holocaust. I learned a lot about anti-Semitism, but I learned nothing about God.
Armed with a scholar's love for learning, Bob hit the college campus with gusto. But now, as a young man, he began noticing traits in himself that he simply didn't like.
I began to notice a selfishness in me that I really couldn't control or do anything about. Even if I donated money to a charity, I realized I was trying to make myself feel better more than having this altruistic concern about the people.
Those ugly traits rose up in full one day when Jews for Jesus visited the campus and put up a sign.
It absolutely infuriated me. I thought that people were making this bugaboo about a man who'd been dead, that any claims about Jesus could never be proven, that anybody who read the Bible was a moron.
Why are you doing this here? You do things like this in church.
So I thought these people were cowardly, dishonest, and it just was plain stupid. He was claiming he had a relationship with God just like the relationships we read about in the Bible.
Still, Bob couldn't stop thinking about the sign. He began wondering what Jews for Jesus really meant. His mind full of questions, he decided to pray a simple prayer.
I said, God, all my life I've been told that Jesus is forbidden knowledge because I'm Jewish. A second grader in Sunday school knows more about Jesus than I do, and I'm almost 20 years old. But if I'm missing out on something, if I could have a relationship with you and it is through Jesus, then help me to learn about Jesus because I know nothing about him. I made that prayer, and then I went to bed.
The very next day, 2 women approached Bob, asking him to participate in a religious survey. They listened politely as Bob explained his upbringing. Then,
they very simply explained how I could have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. They didn't say anything particularly persuasive, but after they left, from head to toe, I was bombarded by this, very difficult to describe it, a supernatural, mystical, loving presence. I was just aware that a loving, intelligent presence was making contact with me, and I was going, this is the missing piece of the puzzle. This is what people mean when they say, ask Jesus into your heart.
Bob went back to his dorm room and accepted Jesus Christ as his Savior.
When I realized that God loved me enough to send his son to die on the cross for me, it was just this incredible gratitude for God, and I just felt I owed him my whole life.
Bob graduated and went into ministry. For years, he traveled to college campuses speaking to students in an open, relaxed forum. Today, his outreach exceeds college campuses with a radio show on a secular station that invites people to call in their questions about religion.
The absurdity that the complexity of our universe could be here by accident, randomness, and chance is where I would begin telling somebody that belief in God, some kind of God, is logical.
Bob is sure he is reaching people for Christ, just like 2 college students reached him years ago.
And I think there are people listening right now who are seeking God without knowing it. And if they think they're searching for meaning, truth, love, peace, they are searching for God. There's this empty vacuum in them that's longing to be plugged into their Maker. They've just never realized that that's what that empty vacuum is. But they're aware of that empty vacuum.